Hello everyone. Welcome to this class 10 chapter from Politics. Federalism. When we talk about power sharing in modern democracies, one of the most significant forms is the vertical division of power among different levels of government, which we call federalism. Throughout this discussion, we are going to explore the theory and practice of federalism, especially here in India. We look at our constitutional provisions, the policies that keep our diverse nation together, and the fascinating third tier of local government that brings democracy right to our doorsteps. Understanding this is crucial because it explains the day-to-day administration that affects every single citizen through these various levels of government. It's all about how we safeguard national unity while making sure we respect and accommodate our incredible regional diversity. So, what exactly is federalism? At its core, it is a system where power is divided between a central authority and various constituent units of the country. Usually, this involves two main levels of government. First, there is a national government that is responsible for subjects of common national interest. Then, there are governments at the level of provinces or states that handle much of the day-to-day administration of their specific areas. The most important thing to remember here is that both these levels enjoy their powers independently of each other. To understand federalism better, it helps to compare it with a unitary system. In a unitary system, either there is only one level of government or the subunits are completely subordinate to the center. In that case, the central government can just pass down orders to provincial or local governments. But in a federal system, it works differently. Here, the central government cannot simply order the state government to do something. State governments have their own powers and are not answerable to the center. Instead, both levels are separately answerable to the people themselves. To truly call a system federal, it needs to have a few key features. First, there must be two or more tiers of government. Second, even though these different tiers govern the same citizens, each tier has its own specific jurisdiction. This means they have their own legal authority when it comes to legislation, taxation, and administration. Third, these jurisdictions aren't just verbal agreements. They are constitutionally guaranteed, meaning the existence and authority of each tier is protected by the Constitution itself. The fourth feature is that the fundamental provisions of the Constitution cannot be changed by just one level of government. Such changes require the mutual consent of both levels. Fifth, we have a judicial umpire. Courts have the power to interpret the Constitution, and the highest court acts as a referee if disputes arise between different levels of government. Sixth, to ensure financial autonomy, the sources of revenue for each level are clearly specified. Finally, all of this serves dual objectives: to safeguard and promote national unity, while at the same time accommodating regional diversity. Now, federations aren't all formed the same way. There are two main routes. The first is the coming together route. This happens when independent states decide to come together on their own to form a bigger unit. They do this to increase their security by pooling their sovereignty and retaining their unique identity. In these types of federations, like the USA, Switzerland, and Australia, the constituent states usually have equal power and are quite strong compared to the federal government. The second route is known as holding together. This is when a large country decides to divide its power between constituent states and the national government to maintain unity. This is the path India took, along with countries like Spain and Belgium. In these systems, the central government tends to be more powerful, and the different units often have unequal powers, with some even getting special status. Looking closely at India, we emerged as an independent nation after a very painful partition and the incorporation of several princely states. While our constitution declares India as a union of states and doesn't actually use the word federation, the whole Indian Union is based on federal principles. The constitution provides a clear, threefold distribution of legislative powers between the union and the state governments, giving each its own separate jurisdiction. Originally, our constitution provided for a two-tier system, the union government and the state governments. However, a third tier was added later in the form of panchayats in rural areas and municipalities in urban areas. Even though these different tiers govern the same citizens, they each handle specific matters of legislation and administration to make governance more effective. To keep things organized, we have different lists of power. First is the Union List. This includes subjects of national importance like defense, foreign affairs, banking, communications, and currency. We need a uniform policy on these matters across the whole country, so only the union government has the authority to make laws regarding them. Next is the State List, which contains subjects of state and local importance. Think of things like police, trade, commerce, agriculture, and irrigation. For these subjects, only the state governments have the power to make laws. Then we have the Concurrent List. These are subjects of common interest to both levels, like education, forest, trade unions, marriage, adoption, and succession. Both the union and state governments can make laws here, but if their laws conflict, the union law prevails. And for any subjects that didn't exist when the Constitution was written, like computer software, we call these residuary subjects, and the union government has the power to legislate on them. It's also interesting to note that not all states in India have identical powers. We have what is called asymmetric power. Under Article 371, certain states like Assam, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, and Mizoram enjoy special status because of their unique social and historical circumstances. These special powers help protect the land rights and culture of indigenous peoples. In fact, Indians who are not permanent residents of these states are restricted from buying land or houses there. We also have areas that are too small to be independent states but can't be merged with existing states, which we call union territories. Examples include Chandigarh, Lakshadweep, and our capital, Delhi. These territories don't have the powers of a state, and the central government has special powers in running them. This whole power-sharing arrangement is a basic part of our constitution and cannot be easily changed. If Parliament wants to amend it, they have to follow a very strict process. The change must be passed by both houses of Parliament with at least a two-thirds majority, and then it must be ratified by the legislatures of at least half of the total states. The judiciary plays a massive role in making this work. The High Courts and the Supreme Court oversee the implementation of constitutional procedures and settle any disputes about the division of powers. Additionally, to make sure both levels can fulfill their responsibilities, the Constitution gives both the union and state governments the power to levy taxes and raise resources. Now, having a constitution is one thing, but how federalism is actually practiced is what determines its success. In India, the real credit goes to the nature of our democratic politics, which ensures respect for diversity. Our first major test was the creation of linguistic states. After 1947, boundaries were changed so that people speaking the same language lived in the same state. While some feared this would lead to disintegration, it actually made the country more united and administration much easier. Some states were also created based on culture or geography, like Nagaland, Uttarakhand, and Jharkhand. Another key part of our practice is our language policy. Our constitution did not give any single language the status of national language. While Hindi was identified as the official language, it is the mother tongue of only about 40% of Indians. To protect other languages, we recognize 22 scheduled languages. This means if someone is taking a central government exam, they can choose to take it in any of these languages. There was a big debate about English, too. The official use of English was supposed to stop in 1965, but many non-Hindi speaking states, particularly Tamil Nadu, demanded it continue. The government agreed to a compromise, allowing both English and Hindi for official purposes. This flexibility helped us avoid the kind of language-based conflict seen in places like Sri Lanka. While the government promotes Hindi, it cannot impose it on states that speak other languages. The way the center and states interact has also evolved. For a long time after independence, the same party often ruled both at the center and in most states. This meant states didn't always exercise their autonomous rights, and the central government sometimes misused the constitution to dismiss rival state governments. But everything changed after 1990. This era saw the rise of regional parties and coalition governments, where no single party had a majority in the Lok Sabha. National parties were forced to form alliances with regional parties, leading to a new culture of respect for state autonomy. A major Supreme Court judgment also made it much harder for the center to dismiss state governments arbitrarily, which significantly strengthened federal power sharing. To give you an idea of our diversity, the 2011 census recorded more than 1,300 distinct mother tongues, which were grouped into 121 major languages. While Hindi is the largest group at about 44%, English was recorded as a mother tongue by only 0.02% of the population, though about 11% know it as a second or third language. This immense scale and internal diversity, where states like Uttar Pradesh have populations larger than Russia, and Maharashtra is comparable in size to Germany, highlight the need for decentralization. The logic is simple. Local people understand their own problems best and know how to spend money more efficiently. It also encourages direct citizen participation, which helps develop a democratic habit. Decentralization is when power is taken from central and state governments and given to local government. Before 1992, local bodies were mostly under state control, elections were irregular, and they had very few resources. We needed a major change to make local self-government a reality. That change came with a landmark constitutional amendment in 1992. It made the third tier of democracy much more powerful. Regular elections for local bodies became constitutionally mandatory, and seats were reserved for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes to ensure social representation. Crucially, 1/3 of all positions were reserved for women. An independent state election commission was created in each state to conduct these elections fairly. State governments were also required to share their powers and revenue with these local bodies. In rural areas, this system is known as Panchayati Raj. Each village or group of villages has a Gram Panchayat, which is a council consisting of ward members called Panch and a president called the Sarpanch. They are supervised by the Gram Sabha, which includes all the voters in the village. The Gram Sabha meets at least twice or thrice a year to approve the budget and review the Panchayat's performance. These local units are organized into a hierarchy. A few Gram Panchayats are grouped together to form a Panchayat Samiti, also called a block or mandal. Then, all the Samitis in a district together form the Zilla Parishad. The Zilla Parishad includes elected members, as well as local MLAs and MPs, and its political head is the Zilla Parishad chairperson. In urban areas, we have similar structures. Smaller towns have municipalities, headed by municipal chairperson. Big cities have municipal corporations, and their political head is the mayor. Both are managed by elected bodies of people's representatives. This is actually the largest experiment in democracy anywhere in the world. We have about 36 lakh elected representatives in local bodies. That's more than the entire population of many countries. It has deeply strengthened our democracy and significantly increased the voice of women in our political system. Of course, it's not without challenges. Gram Sabhas aren't always held regularly, and many states still haven't transferred enough power or resources to local levels. But we can look to inspiring examples like Porto Alegre in Brazil, where nearly 13 lakh people participate directly in making the city budget. Similarly, in Kerala, ordinary people have participated deeply in planning the development of their own localities. To summarize everything we've covered, the core logic of federalism is vertical power sharing to ensure national unity while respecting regional diversity. In India, we function as a union of states with a strong center, 3 clear legislative lists, and a rigid process for making changes to this arrangement. Through practical measures like creating linguistic states and maintaining a flexible language policy, we have prevented disintegration. Finally, the 1992 reforms created a massive and vital third tier of government through decentralization, bringing us closer to the ideal of true local self-government. With this, we have come to the end of this chapter. Download the keynotes for the chapter given in the link in the video description box below. If you feel the video helped you to understand the chapter better, please subscribe to the channel and share the channel link below with your classmates. Take care and see you in the next video.